Hi guys, how's it going? My name's Sam, as you may know. I've started a podcast called Coastal Catch-Ups. The idea behind it is for me to speak to people involved in the marine environment, coastal environment, whether that's recreation, engineering, conservation, fishing, all the rest. So the idea is to get a big range of information and opinions from people working in the space for no particular reason at all. I just enjoy speaking to people, and I work as a marine scientist, and I also enjoy being on the water, so I thought I'd just merge the two. So this is the first episode. I'm speaking to a guy called Rory Martin. He runs a company near here, actually, where I am now. And it's an activity centre, so he specialises in doing outdoor classes like kayaking, paddleboarding, right on the doorsteps of Strangford Lough here. So it was really good to catch up with him and what he's been up to, and get his thoughts and opinions on some things. So hope you enjoy the podcast. If you do like it, let me know what you like. If you think I've missed anything, let me know what you think I've missed. If you don't like it, just keep your opinion to yourself. That's fine. So yeah, thanks very much, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, Rory. How's it going?
I'm well, thanks, Sam. Good to see you.
Good. I know I'm stopping you. You have a guy coming at 6 o'clock tonight, so I'll not hold you up for too long. Just for the listeners, what do you do day to day? What's your business?
So I own and operate Strangford Lough Activity Centre. I suppose it's a multi-activity centre based on the shores of Strangford Lough. So an area of outstanding natural beauty, site of specific scientific interest, marine nature reserve, and now, as of last month, a geopark as well. So it's got all the environmental designations, all the wildlife, and all the beauty. So that's kind of our unique selling point, really. We established the business in 2019, literally the week after COVID was announced, and the doors were closed for about 2 months. And I began to wonder if I'd made the right decision. I had invested a lot of money in the business and gone through various different courses like the Go For It program and various other things. And I put all my life savings into it, and then bang, the doors closed. So I got a mortgage break, and we scrimped and saved, and we're doing sort of online courses and stuff like that just to make ends meet. And then the doors opened, and the demand was off the charts, busier than I have ever seen any time that I've been working in the industry. And I suppose I've been working in the industry now for about 20 years. So everything just spiraled. Paddleboarding took off, kayaking took off, and they were our two sort of core activities. And then the business grew and grew, and we just added loads of other activities on. So canoeing and laser tag and archery and climbing wall, and then e-foiling and boat tours were the sort of the latest two activities that we added on as well. So yeah, it's been a busy couple of years, and things are beginning to change in the industry, and we're just trying to adapt to that.
Okay. What changes do you mean there? Sorry, as in.
So yeah, we I suppose people couldn't travel, they couldn't go away. They had been locked up for a couple of months, sort of continuously throughout that 2 year period. There were several closures, and that just made people really hanker after the outdoors, really want to get out, and they wanted to learn something, they wanted to do something new, they liked quirky experiences, and as a result, yeah, it just meant that the demand really increased. So I went from myself working on my own with a couple of people just helping me out to sort of 19 staff. Now, when I say 19 staff, they're all summer staff, students, that sort of thing. So it wouldn't be full-time staff, and that has changed. So that demand, I wouldn't say it's gone, but it's decreased. People have tried paddleboarding now. They also are able to go on holidays. So people in Northern Ireland tend to like sunnier climes because they've wintered here, so they want to make sure of the sunshine when uh, when their holidays come. And now we're sort of dealing more with groups. So we had a lot more school groups. We're getting a lot more corporate groups this year, and it's just changing our marketing and adapting to the changing demands in the marketplace.
I saw you had a group there. I think it was like team building exercises. There was a big squad of them, like 30 people or something like that. I think corporate companies are maybe looking, if they do get a group, it is focusing on team building and all that, mingling with maybe employees. Again, if you're working for a company and you're working from home, you might actually not meet them that often.
Yeah, yeah, we're finding that a lot. The this change in workplace culture too, with people working from home, has meant that they might not have met any of their colleagues, especially if they were recruited over COVID. They might not have seen or met any of their colleagues for a couple of years because literally office places were closed. So whenever they came out of lockdown, then they were looking for new quirky experiences and new places to go, new activities, and just somewhere where they could have a bit of fun. So it was maybe not in-depth team building where they're looking an outcome, but just somewhere they can have a bit of fun, and get a top quality experience and maybe have a barbecue near a pub and chill out with their workmates and actually meet them and find out who they are. So that side of things has risen as well, which is great to see. I suppose nowadays people are getting a wee bit tighter on the pocket. There's not as much disposable income as there was coming out of COVID. People didn't have their furlough money to spend anymore. So either that or they're back to work full time and haven't got the energy that they once had. So yeah, it's just a change, but as long as you adapt to the change early on, you should be able to ride out the storm, if you like.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned about the activities you do. I noticed on your website you have an activity called Paddle with Purpose. Can you explain that and what that entails?
Yeah, so I've always had a bit of a passion for the environment. Um, I used to work in the aquarium in Portaferry, and obviously from an outdoors background as well, it's kind of your office place, if you like. So you begin to see the effects of marine pollution, of general littering, of uh, you know just the problems that the environment faces, and you just everybody does their small bit, I suppose, to try and help out. Um, and we were getting a lot of inquiries, I suppose, especially from American tourists, um, for like environmental type activities that they could do. So we were doing litter picks anyway, on the shore just around the bay. One, just to show people that we were, you know, environmentally aware, tidying up the place, and two, because we were bringing a lot more people into the area, we felt a bit of responsibility for it, um, and we had to show that we were doing something about it, and three, just because of our passion for it, that we wanted to try and tidy up the islands, and it became a bit of a mission to paddle out to the islands and collect marine litter that had washed up. So a lot of the stuff that we're collecting are plastic bottles. We got rope, polypropylene rope that has come off mooring buoys. We got footballs, any amount of Crocs, the shoes, and Strangford Lough, to be fair, isn't that bad. It's a pretty clean environment. I think there's a lot of people look after it, but I would say to date we've probably lifted about 35 to 40 tons of rubbish in total off the islands over the 4 years that we've been running it. So that's quite a bit of marine pollution. One one particular time we paddled out to Trasna Island, we found a massive trout fishing net that was gradually breaking down. And we lifted it and we brought it back and we took it away to the recycling centre. But part of the issue with doing it was that because it had been so corroded by the sun over the years, it was breaking down as we were bringing it back. And it made me question things whether, is some litter, is it best left where it is? Or, do you do everything that you can to break down? But I suppose there was a fair bit of it that went to the recycling centre. Hopefully it gets repurposed for something. I would imagine it'll probably end up in landfill because we haven't got the ability to deal with the litter that we have here, but that's another story. But yeah, I digress, but I think there's just so much that can be done, and people want to see Strangford Lough looked after and maintained, and that's why we set up the experience. Now, I suppose people ask me often, but you're charging for this? You're charging people to go and pick litter. And it's not really just that we're giving people litter pickers and saying, right, that's a fiver, off you go. We give them a full tour of the islands. We give them an environmental education session on the ethics of leave no trace. There's hot chocolate and s'mores, there's staffing, top of the range boats, equipment, and we give them all the historical guided tour. So it really is a top level experience. And once people have done it, they understand why there's a charge to it. And we discount it from our usual rate, and it takes more time and more all the recycling of the equipment. If you separate it and take it to the recycling centre, takes a fair bit of time as well. So that is all for us to do. That's not what you're paying for, but that happens as well. So we try and justify it like that. I suppose I'm conscious that when you're asking people to collect litter, we try and give them some sort of discount so that they feel that we're not making money out of something that they're doing, if you like, But yeah, it's just a thought that crept into my mind. But yeah, we've had a lot of groups out doing it. We've had the Chartered Institute of Waste Management. We've had the Northern Ireland Environment Agency. We've had Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful, and various other organisations who are really behind it, and have linked with us. So it's become quite a sort of key experience that we deliver, and we became part of the Ards and North Down Sustainable Giants, which is a collection of tourism businesses that promote sustainability throughout the borough. And yeah, we're getting more ideas and working in partnership with other companies to plant trees and do other sustainable tourism things throughout the area. And yeah, it's kind of spiraled. It's a lot of people are developing programs in that area. So there's the paddle and pick, and lots of other sub companies are doing similar programs. So hopefully it continues on, and Strangford Lough ends up cleaner as a result, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I suppose every person that comes on that program or goes on a tour with you, it's creating awareness for if they do get confident, if they do go out in the water, or maybe would want to stick to walks on the coast, is creating that awareness and probably just a bit confidence that you see people walking down the coast and not many people litter, and it's not saying that if you don't do it you're a bad person or anything, but it's maybe just getting a bit of confidence and awareness of the issue, and people are willing to do their wee bit, and it all helps.
I think,
like you say.
Yeah, the councils have begun to introduce these sort of 3 minute beach clean type things where they put litter pickers on a sort of unit
Mhm.
at a beach, and there's recyclable bags, and it just encourages people that when they go on their walks they can pick litter.
Yeah,
Um,
good idea.
I think it would be great to see them in various spots throughout the country. And it's a mindset change, and if we can help towards that mindset change, then all the better for everyone.
Yeah, very good. Um, and talking about people that go through your courses and stuff, have you seen? Is there anyone that's kind of? I think you did like a 6 week course. It was like maybe kayaking skills. Have you seen people develop from maybe being not so confident in the water to actually becoming competent and able to plan their own journeys, do their own wee adventures? Have you seen any examples of that?
Yeah, so like we do a lot of paddleboarding and kayaking, and we have basic skills courses, which brings them up to a certain level, and then we do coastal paddles. So we take them maybe from Annalong to Ballyhornan, or out to Barmouth, or around the Couplands, or more recently Portmuck and the Gobbins, which is a stunning paddle as well. And we do a bit of rock hopping, paddle into caves, and explore the area, and then look at a bit more of chart work and managing swells and that sort of thing. So once you get them to that level, they're happy to paddle generally in a small group. And we quite often see the same faces coming back to the area that we operate from, and uh, everybody remembers my name. It's quite hard for me to remember everybody else's name, but yeah, it's been great seeing the faces keep going, and then they become advocates for the business, and send other people our way. So it, I think that's been a success to date, that people have had such a good time, that it's helped sort of roll out and bring other people to the business.
Yeah. And any like special moments, special memories people have kind of highlighted in feedback or given you
Yeah,
when they're out in the water?
there's been quite a few. Obviously, we've got the dolphins in the loch at the minute.
Mhm.
People are absolutely loving that. So uh, I'm sure you've seen some of the social media posts, but there's two dolphins called Squiggles and Squashy.
Did you
Um,
name them, Rory?
Say again, sir.
Did you name them?
Actually, somebody named them Fish and Chip, which I thought was a great addition, but maybe not quite so environmentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're great, and they seem to love our boat, so they keep following us and jumping and putting on a bit of a display. So people are loving that side of things. I suppose aside from that, we've had a completely blind person out paddleboarding, and she just came in glowing, absolutely bouncing, because she'd had such a good time, and was delighted with the staff and how facilitating they were. We've um, we've worked with some quite troubled youth that have been through tricky times, I suppose, in the past, um, and just seeing them develop and become, they arrive quite closed and don't talk to you quite so much, and then by the end of it, you're one of their best mates, and they're they're chatting away to you like you're their long lost brother. And if you can have sort of breakthroughs like that, it really makes a difference. Currently, I've one person who's a member of staff. I'll not mention any names, but struggled with her water confidence when she first came to us, and she did a paddleboard session with me, and then kept coming back, and is now a paddleboard instructor, and is working towards her kayak instructor awards and various other qualifications as well, and has really developed her water confidence. So just seeing that on a one-to-one level, and the development for her personally has been great.
Why do you think the water has that effect on people? So you're saying about like a closed personality, and then when they go onto the water, they completely change and open up. Why do you think that is?
Um, I suppose that yeah, the natural environment, the salt water, the fresh air, the physical exercise, and the ability to focus on something that they're not used to. They're concentrating the whole time, but they begin to see progress throughout a session, and they enjoy it. If they have fun, um, it really changes the mindset. But I think more than anything, it's the physical exercise and the natural environment and that fresh air that they maybe not getting that much of. Also, the sea reflects the sun, as you know, and they get more vitamin D through that. Plenty of people have like SADS or whatever it's called when they have a vitamin D deficiency throughout the winter. And I think just getting out and about really helps with that. Seeing wildlife as well, that sort of shock and awe of the seals when we paddle over to the islands, or the bird life that just happens around you naturally. We often see herons and cormorants and oyster catchers, and um, there's an abundance of wildlife there that um, it's only when you're paddling about that you begin to take it in, and that creates conversation. It, it you know it's just natural conversation, and people love a challenge and they love games. And when they're on the water, if you can break down those barriers just by simple challenges and tasks and having lots of fun, then they begin to lose their guard almost, and they want to enjoy themselves. Everybody when they arrive wants to enjoy themselves, so we're kind of lucky in that sense. But yeah, outdoor activities is definitely the way to work with, especially troubled teenagers, because it's often something that's cut from a budget, um, and the traditional ways of education are through the classroom, and that doesn't suit everybody. And I'm testament to that. I wasn't the the grade A student at school or college, but I found my niche in the outdoors, and sort of really focused on it, and loved it, and developed and became really quite highly qualified in it. So um, I was lucky enough to be able to find my niche, but I think if you if you try enough things, you'll find it eventually.
Yeah, yeah, very good. I was gonna say about the when you're out in the water, say you're if you go out for a paddleboard, that's the only thing on my mind. Well, one, trying not to fall into the water, but like I wouldn't look at my phone the entire time just because I'm so immersed. If I'm out with other people, just chatting to them, it's just a completely new environment, and I think it's really good for people to get immersed in that and have and experience it, and then yeah, and hopefully come back for more. At one last Rory, with I was thinking the dolphins sprung into my head there, and it's obviously it is a big attraction. Do you think there's any risk of when because we had orcas in Strangford Lough, was it 2 years ago, last year? We'll
Mhm.
have the dolphins now, big attractions, and obviously on social media. Do you think there's any risk of these sites being um, people unintentionally visiting these sites to see these species and then maybe having an impact on the species? Do you think that could happen?
Absolutely. I suppose not just from the dolphins' perspective, but like COVID had this major effect on the natural environment. You probably saw on the media people parking over farmers' entrances, parking in ditches, abandoning their cars, the amount of litter left behind them, and all the honey pot sites being overrun. Um, Parking being a major sort of issue for people, and we've seen that. We've probably in some shapes been, you know, guilty of over tourism in a small area, but we try to manage it as best we can. I think with the likes of the dolphins in Strangford Lough, it could become quite like fungi and dingle, where every shop front has dolphin trinkets for sale, and people tour from all over the country to go and see them. It's important in my mind that um, the the general public, use certified, qualified, responsible, and responsible being the key there, operators whenever they're going to see people. We've had a lot of people contacting us going, um, how much is it for a boat tour? We have a jet ski. Could we not just go and see them? And you're like, ooh, this is the effect that some of our social media posts are having. So we're very cautious about sharing the environmental side of things as well. So there's an organization that manages the environmental messages for Strangford Lough, and we share a lot of their posts and what sort of things like the rule of thumb. If you can see the animal outside of your thumb, you're too close. And we try and educate the public with these messages. I suppose it's a fine balance for us, because if we don't share the images, people don't see how beautiful it is. They don't come out with us, and then the business struggles, and we can't pass on that environmental message. But then if we over promote it, you have people trying to paddle out the Narrows, for example, on a paddleboard just to see the dolphins and putting their lives in danger, or you have jet skiers coming down and getting too close, and the noise from the engine annoying them. And that's no bad thing about, sorry, that's no spur on jet skiers. I think they have their purpose, and um, if they're used in the correct manner, then they're fine. But yeah, it's a fine balance, and I think if everybody gets that sort of environmental message and turns off their engine and just watches them quietly, or the dolphins come to them for a play, then that's fine. I suppose dolphins are more playful than many other marine species. So the likes of seals, there was a jet skier that came down to White Rock and was testing his jet ski and said he had to test it close to land. But I had to go and sort of mention to him that maybe not testing it round a designated sort of berthing area for seals was probably a good idea, you know. But it's a tricky one too, because you can't approach the public and say to them, "Don't do this, don't do that," because we're not police by any means, and we don't want to be classed as that. But if we can educate them in some form that this is probably the best way to go and see them, this is the best place to park, for example. Um, if you wouldn't mind lifting your litter when you're leaving, that would be great, and not blocking entrances to, Braddock Reach or wherever it might be. Then hopefully we can keep the local population on side, and they still are advocates for our business, and hopefully we can get the environmental message out there.
Yeah, very good. I know, I think it's a constant struggle for making awareness of these issues, and then, like you say, for the likes of yourself, the local population, keeping them on side, which I think you're doing. I think you're doing this brilliant job. So, Rory, I've completely forgot Zoom gives you a time limit. To switch you down to the P if you need to get away for your next class.
Yeah.
Just to finish up, just briefly, do you have any plans for Strangford Lough Activity Centre in the near future? And if someone's looking to find you, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, I suppose the plans that we have for the business, I've always got some madcap idea, and the next one I'm working on is a glamp site.
Okay.
So we have planning in for a glamp site at present, and hopefully it's going to be an eco glamp site, so it will be completely off grid, with reed bed water purification systems, solar panels, and all the pods and the stuff will be made out of canvas and wood, renewable materials is what I'm looking for. And yeah, we're just trying to showcase best practice with everything we do, and that's what I've trying to remain loyal to our environmental ethos, and that's what I'm trying to do with the Glamp site. And it's also to give us a bit of a um, captured market, if you like, so that if people are coming to stay somewhere, then they've got the activities to do, and hopefully it benefits the local economy as well. So the local bars and restaurants, the other tourism venues like Castle Espy or Explore Aquarium or Fodder or wherever it might be, Finnebrook Wood. Um, so I think we all have our part to play, and by making it sustainable, then we can create sustainable tourism. So that's the next plan I'm working on. And if anybody wants to come out with us, we'd be delighted to show them around Strangford Lough and point out the sort of history and heritage and the wildlife and that sort of thing. And you can do that by visiting our website, strangfordloughactivitycentre.com, or give us a call from the number on the website, or drop us an email. And we're open to anything. If you want to go for a 3-day paddle in Strangford Lough and camp out on Salt Island in the Bothy, or if you want to paddle along the coastline or try something new and adventurous, we'd love to hear from you, because we love the adventure too.
Awesome. Rory, listen, thanks so much for your time. It's been great hearing your insight from a guy being on the water most days. So yeah, it's great. And then exciting plans for the activity centre. So I'm looking forward to keeping tabs and seeing what happens. So yeah, there's your time down to less than a minute, Roy. I'll catch you soon. And listen, thanks again. And for anyone listening, thanks for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us, Sam. It's been great to be a part of it.
Yeah.